Hindi na po tayo kailangang lusubin or anything eh. Kalikutin lang nila yung power grid natin. Just imagine, anyone who's listening now, and anyone who's saying na wala pupuntahan itong pinag-uusapan natin na to, isipin nyo lang, 1 linggo, 2 linggo, 1 buwan wala tayong kuryente.
Will you have the peace of mind na ipagtiwala ang kaisa-isa mong national grid sa kaaway mo sa West Philippine Sea? Will you have the peace of mind that the national grid relies on these Chinese citizens who are maligning, harassing, threatening our fellow Filipinos? I can be wrong. We can be wrong. But the question is, what if this apprehension is correct? On this light, Mr. Chair, this representation humbly move that we issue subpoena duces tecum to NGCP for them to submit the shareholders' agreement to this committee. I wish to request Attorney Matibag to please enlighten us what is ESCADA, what is NARI, and kindly correlate their significance to each other.
Well, yung SCADA po, thank you po, no? Yung SCADA is the system. Yung po yung, that's generic, yung parang yun yung, that is supervisory control and data gathering na ginagawa po nila. No? Yung NARI po, that is the brand of the equipment, hardware, software, na nilagay nung pumasok po ang NGCP. Before that, ang nandun po is GE, tsaka ABB. Bago pa po lahat yan, bago lahat yung mga system na yan, nilagay nila yung NARI. Kaya nung pinag-uusapan natin yung problema ng China, kaya po lumalabas yan, kaya may suspecha tayo. Dahil, kagaya ng explanation ko po, ulitin ko po kanina, ang cellphone natin to iPhone, this is the hardware. But this is run by a software, iOS. Kayo po ba naniniwala na yung nilalagay nyo dyan, hindi nakikita dun nung gumagawa? Knowing that ang NARI is proprietary. May source code po yan. Kanina sinabi, nasa kanila raw yung source code. Parang yung election po, since mag-election, COMELEC, may source code dyan. Nakikita ng COMELEC yan. Alam po yan ng COMELEC. Bakit nilagay yung NARI? Nung tiningnan po namin kung ano yung NARI, is a state-owned company of China na sila provider po ng mga equipment, as intelligence equipment, military po. Kasama po doon sa mga military grade po. In fact, when we do the research, lumabas sa website nila noong December 2019, lumabas doon sa website nila na sinasabi pa nila na 100% they control the power grid of the Philippines. Nung in-raise po namin yung issue na yan, on the next hearing, wala na po yung website. Binura na yung nakalagay na yon. Pero meron po kami noon. In fact, we provided the Senate. And I think meron din pong kopya rito dahil nagiring din dito.
Attorney Matibag, if I may interrupt,
Opo.
that publication, correct me if I'm wrong, is the same printout that we flashed during the last hearing.
That
Do
is
you
correct
confirm
po.
that?
That is correct. Sa website po, lifted from the website of NARI.
So you confirm that from the website of, is it not the State Grid China Corporation's publication and not NARI?
NARI publication po yon, and NARI is a state-owned company, the same as State Grid of China, a state-owned company of China.
I understand. So NARI is a subsidiary of State Grid China
They are
Corporation.
separate company po. If we are familiar with the ownership sa China, alam nyo, mga state-owned po yan, mga government-owned. Parehas po sila. And when you research doon sa website, noon nga, sa website ng NARI, lumalabas doon, they supply military intelligence, mga equipment na parehas ng ginagamit po sa atin. Ngayon, yung pong data gathering, ang tanong ko nga, anybody can answer po siguro, educate me. Kayo po ba naniniwala yung cellphone nyo, yung mga nakalagay dyan na data, yung mga pinapasok nyo dyan, hindi alam nung gumawa nito? Hindi ba pag nalock nga to, pwede ka nga mag-message, sasabi ka nga ron, mabubuksan mo.
For the enlightenment of the Filipino people who are watching us, Attorney Matibag, you mentioned about iOS.
Opo.
No? So let me borrow your term. Would you confirm if I would say that NARI is similar to being the iOS of SCADA?
Tama po, kasi yung hardware and software, parehas pong NARI. I think they can confirm that. Ayun, sinasabi nila, nasa kanila yung source code. Then I go back to go to the next level. Sabi nila may audit. Question, meron po bang cyber audit na naganap? Nandoon daw yung NICA. I know that eh. Kaya po sila pumayag dyan. They were ordered by the Senate at that time, papasukin, mag-imbestiga, pumasok. Ginawa nila yon, hindi kasama Transco. At may time.
Attorney, I appreciate your generosity of information, but
Opo.
let's do this one at a
Okay
time
po. Sige po.
for us to be followed by the viewing Filipino people.
Sige
This is
po.
highly technical and even myself find it really difficult to absorb.
Opo.
Let's start with, what does SCADA stands for?
Is the supervisory control and data acquisition.
How about NARI? What
Yung
does
NARI
it
po
stand
is a
for?
brand. It's a brand.
Yeah,
Parang
but it is an
icon.
acronym. What does NARI stands for?
NARI. Wala po sa website.
Anyone
nila eh.
from NGCP? Because according to you,
yun.
this is an equipment which you are using in the operation of NGCP.
Nanjing Automation Research Institute.
Did you say Nanjing?
Opo.
Nanjing
Automation
Research
Institute.
Institute.
Opo.
Okay. Following your statement that NARI is the iOS of SCADA,
Opo.
would it be correct to say that this system can be controlled remotely?
100%
Similar
po.
to my Apple.
100% po,
Phone.
pwede. Because there was already, may nangyari na po eh, na may nasira noon. It was repaired remotely. From China, hindi po kailangan bumahin ng technician para pumunta rito at ayusin pa yung nasira.
All
Nangyari
right?
na po yan, 2 beses na.
And considering that NARI originated from Nanjing, would it be possible also that somebody from Nanjing will be operating our system SCADA here in the Philippines, remote? The one operating is in Nanjing, and the hardware is here, the SCADA at NGCP.
Very possible po with the technology now. 100% possible po yan. Kasi nangyayari nga po eh. I will cite an example if you will allow me, ma'am.
Yes,
Sa Ukraine, twice there was an attack, cyber attack, sa power grid mismo. Napasok. Hindi po sila pumasok na may baril na pinasok pa yung control center and all. It was hacked. 3 days before na power up ulit ng Ukraine. And to find out, intelligence services noon, they found out na that is prelude already doon sa nangyayari ngayon na gera.
Kanina, Attorney Matibag, you made mention about the nature of this NARI, the company,
Opo.
that it has something to do with the military of China. Can you
Opo.
please expound on this?
Yun po yung sinabi sa website nila. Kasi they also supply military hardware.
In other words, the business of NARI is the supply of highly sophisticated
Hardware
technology,
and software po.
hardware and
For
software,
communication and data gathering.
which can be used as well by the military.
Opo. If you will allow me again, ma'am,
Yes, please.
just recently, United Kingdom, they have 15% the equipment na NARI, they remove it.
Why did they remove?
For reason of national security po. Example na lang po, hindi ba, ang Amerika, they ban TikTok. Bakit? Because sabi nila, they suspicion lang that is being used to gather data sa Amerika. Sayo nga po, nandun na mismo yung system, hardware and software. NARI, China. Nagpapatakbo, China. I may agree with Engineer Clark na sige, sa akin yung source code. Pero sino pang may alam ng source code? Tama po kayo nung sinabi nyo nung last hearing. The creature cannot rise above the creator. Tama po yun. Ako, I'm certain of this. Huwag na po tayong magtalo sinong mas Pilipino tsaka sinong hindi Pilipino, sinong kampi sa China. Hindi. I'm stating kung ano po yung factual na nangyayari. And anybody can refute it. They may do so.
Mr. Chair, considering that the informations which are being shared to us by Attorney Matibag is indeed alarming, would it be possible for the committee to invite a representative from NARI? Nanjing Automation Research
Opo, Research Institute.
Institute. I believe this is a Chinese
Yes.
corporation.
Well, ma'am, if you will allow me, no?
Please.
This is really, ako po natatakot. Bumubulong nga ako kay Chair mo na hindi na lang yung pera yung pinag-uusapan natin dito eh. We're talking about our sovereignty. Sovereignty yan natin. And our sovereignty has no price tag. Hindi na po tayo kailangang lusubin or anything eh. Kalikutin lang nila yung power grid natin. Just imagine, anyone who's listening now, and anyone who's saying na wala pupuntahan itong pinag-uusapan natin na to, isipin nyo lang, 1 linggo, 2 linggo, 1 buwan wala tayong kuryente. Madali po yung sinasabi nila eh. Sasabihin nila, I'm guaranteeing it, I'm guaranteeing it. Pag nangyari na po, asan tayo lahat? Asan tayo lahat? UK made the move. Ako po, kaya ako nagsasalita ng ganito. My position before, I'm not talking about the commercial transaction na ng NGCP. Okay na yan. May pera, may kinikita. It's good thing. One good congressman mentioned about the Maharlika Wealth Fund. It's a sovereign wealth fund. Ang tawag niyan, sovereign wealth fund. In fact, I'm writing an article sa dyaryo. Sinulat ko yan that we must support the Maharlika Wealth Fund and invest it in transmission. Kasi total, may 20% na dapat dinisperse to the public. The reason why is hindi para kumita yung gobyerno, for me, but the reason is to protect our sovereignty. Para meron tayong magche-check man lamang. I mean, people na nandirito, mga taga-NGCP, there are employees, there are officers. They're making their livelihood out of NGCP. We cannot fault them for defending it. If I'm on their side, baka mas malala pa yung ginagawa ko. But now I'm standing here not as a president of Transco, as an individual, as a citizen, na tinitingnan ko. What I'm telling you, totoo po yan. Kung gusto nyo, sama-sama tayong pumunta, submit it to cyber audit.
Mr. Chair, may we ask the NGCP if it is possible for them to provide us a representative from NARI?
Can reply. Attorney Paul, Attorney...
Mr. Chairman, can I pass the mic to Engineer Clark?
Mr. Chair, I believe that the question is answerable simply by a yes or a no, whether they
Yes.
will provide a representative or not, with all due respect.
They would like, the question is, can we ask Nari to appear before this committee? Can you help us
I
to
believe we
answer
cannot,
some questions that the committee has, even in an executive session?
we'll try to ask our Chinese partners, but definitely, Mr. Chairman, at the moment, personally, I cannot. I do not even know a representative from NARI.
Okay, thank you.
Because
So
this
we
is a
will-
Chinese corporation. And chances are, the people in NARI are all Chinese people. And that's what make this situation so difficult for us, Filipino citizens. Yes, Attorney Melvin, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, it defies logic, yung sinasabi. I apologize, pero para sa akin, hindi ka tanggap-tanggap eh. NARI is a supplier. Ibig sabihin, contractor ng NGCP yan. Hanggang ngayon, binabayaran nyo yan. Hindi naman pwedeng hindi nyo imbitahan. And they will say, kung hindi kayo mag-appear dito, tigil na namin bayad, kuha na kami ng iba na supplier. I don't know. I might be wrong. I will leave the better judgment to the honorable gentlemen and gentlewomen of this honorable committee.
Thank you. That's something that we will have to discuss and request. Because I think it does make sense that if they are your supplier, then for transparency, without going into issue of protocols, or then we can ask, because I think there are questions. May I know,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if I may, I think we need an answer from them. If
Congresswoman-
supplier nila talaga yung NARI.
yes, Attorney Paul, they are your supplier, correct?
Yes, sir.
They're your
Na-
supplier. So, binabayaran niya yan buwan-buwan.
Sir, I would just like to clarify regarding the points being raised by Mr. Matibag. First, on the hardware.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair?
Binabayaran niyo ba buwan-buwan yan as a supplier?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay, klaro tayo.
no, sir. Not every month. Once they supply the equipment, the software, and then after the commissioning, full control and operation is with.
How about,
within us.
after-sales service?
You have, sir, we maintain maintenance service agreement with them. So kung
Yun.
may problem
Yun,
po,
may ano pa yun.
pupunta
So, may
sila.
relationship pa rin kayo.
Meron pa
Thank
rin
you.
po.
Okay, klaro yan.
Mr. Chairman, sorry again, no?
Yeah, don't
Pero
go to Mari.
I couldn't understand bakit ang sagot ni attorney hindi niya kaya imbitahin. Eh meron palang working relationship sila.
Attorney,
That's why, with the answer of our technical partner, Mr. Chairman, we will endeavor that a representative from, if we can, NARI, as we'll attend the next hearing.
Proceed.
Mr. Chair.
Before, kasi related to eh. Because I noticed the consultant for the regulatory reset of ERC are foreigners, but they are here. Hindi po ba Chinese New Year sa kanila? Hindi po. So, yun lang po. I just have to make a point.
Mr. Chair, we will go back to you, Attorney Matibag. But please let this representation continue with the interpellation. Kanina po nabanggit yung Senate hearing. Our resource person relayed to us that President Almeda made a testimony about the cyber attacks, whether it is against the corporate system or the system of NGCP. I wish to be certain. The committee wishes to be certain. We have reports as well that in the same Senate inquiry, Transco consultant by the name Ronaldo Del Mundo testified that NARI is a transmission control operation of platform system which allows remote access. This is according to consultant Ronaldo Del Mundo of Trasco. And to add, Mr. Chair, in the same Senate inquiry, the same Mr. Del Mundo testified as well that NARI is a computer control na pwedeng mag-switch on, switch off ng circuit breaker ng power plants. Mr. Chair, I wish to believe that the transcript of records of this Senate inquiry forms part of the public records. Therefore, Mr. Chair, this representation humbly move that we request for a copy of this transcript for all of us to be enlightened on the testimony that were given already by President Almeda along with Ronaldo Del Mundo, because these are under oath testimonies which should not be contradicted when they testify on a different forum or investigation. So, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion. Any second? Duly seconded. Chairing no objection. The motion of the Honorable Luistro is approved. COMSEC, please carry out the letter request to the Senate. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I recall likewise that during the last hearing, I manifested my desire to conduct an ocular inspection of this system control, which we allege as NARI until we are able to verify, of NGCP. However, Mr. Chair, I found out from the records that since 2019, in spite of the regulatory power given to Transco, to ERC, wala pa palang nangyayaring system audit dito sa system control ng NGCP ever since. May we request a confirmation from NGCP? May we request President Almeda? Medyo nakakapagtaka na po. Our President is here, pero mukhang mas knowledgeable si Attorney Sagayo. What does SGP stands for, with all due respect?
Attorney Sagayo.
Mr. Chairman, SGP stands for Synergy Grid and Development Philippines Incorporated.
Thank you, Attorney Sagayo, but I would prefer, I hope you don't mind,
I don't mind.
to hear an answer
But
from our NGCP President.
in the absence of President
Saan
Almeda,
po
I'm a
nagpunta si-
director of NGCP.
Yes, for the information of everyone, he approached the chair earlier.
He left already?
Yes, because of another meeting that he has
Okay.
at 5 o'clock. So he had to excuse himself. Thank you.
With that, then, we will be pleased to hear your answer, Attorney Sagayo.
The question is whether, Mr. Chairman, I mentioned earlier that under the concession agreement 2.01, specifically Transco has no regulatory powers over NGCP.
Are you trying to say, Attorney Sagayo, that there is no basis at all for for Transco to visit and inspect the system control of NGCP?
Mr. Chairman,
Is that your stand?
No, Mr. Chairman. As I've said, Mr. Chairman, earlier, they can always visit, but subject to certain
How about
protocols.
inspect?
No problem, but subject to
All right, so
certain
let me
protocols.
rephrase my question. Since the concession agreement in 2019, was there a time that the Transco inspected the system control of NGCP? Yes or no?
There was an instance. I think.
Iba po yung visit, iba po yung inspection.
Mr. Chair, if I may respond, may be recognized po. Mr. Chair.
Is attorney from NGCP?
Yes,
Can
Mr.
you
Chair.
answer the question?
As mentioned by Transco earlier, written into the concession agreement is an agreement by which Transco, together with PSOM, will form a committee for the purpose of inspecting both facilities and the books of NGCP, and that is conducted annually.
By facilities, does it include the system control? This system control, attorney, I hope you understand. Very
Mr. Chair, I will have
sophisticated.
to, I think that the intention of that, I have to go back and confirm which facilities are covered by the TR flat.
I
But
hope we
again-
confine our answer, Mr. Chair, to the question whether or not the system control was inspected. I think this is self-explanatory already. And by inspected, I wish to believe, hindi po yan basta tinititigan lang. You have to allow the party to touch, operate, test. That's how we inspect, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair, may I amend my answer a little? Sorry, I'm just going to add a little. The ERC actually conducted a thorough cybersecurity audit of NGCP, including a VAPT. And that will, I think, address the concern, Mr. Chair, on not just looking visually, but also testing the ability of the systems to withstand.
Mr. Chair, was it the ERC which was mentioned by our lawyer from NGCP? So may we hear a confirmation from ERC?
Mr. Chair, yes, we were able to, the ERC through consultants were able to do cybersecurity audit on NGCP.
Were you able to
NGCP
rule
systems.
out the apprehension that this system control cannot be controlled remotely, especially those who are not Filipino citizens and outside our country? Were you able to rule that out?
No,
Yes or no?
No, Mr. Chair.
Because that is the danger that we are trying to avoid.
Mr. Chair.
Please let this representation continue. Likewise, Mr. Chair, in 2010, nag-issue din po ang DOE. This is Department Order Number DO 2010-080015, the title of which, Creating the Technical Working Group for the Audit of the National Grid Corporation System Operations and Metering Service Operations. However, based on reports, pagkatapos ng dalawang meeting, allegedly, the DOE was questioned already by the NGCP at hindi na po natuloy itong system audit ordered by number 0015. Can we hear from NGCP?
Mr. Chairman. Yeah.
Attorney Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our position had always been that under our concession agreement, it is the ERC that has regulatory powers over NGCP, and that is why ERC is conducting several audits already insofar as NGCP
Attorney
is concerned.
Sagayo, with all
Yes.
due respect, yes or no lang po, natuloy po ba yung system audit ng DOE?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Next
no.
question, Mr. Chair. In 2016, mayroon pong ERC Resolution Number 4, Series of 2016. This is dated April 5, 2016. A resolution directing the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines to procure an independent party to conduct an independent review of its operation system as system operator. Tanong po, Attorney Sagayo, Natuloy po ba ito? Independent party, yes or no?
Can we, can we check that ERC resolution? This is the first time that I heard that, Mr. Chairman.
But at least you can state for a fact whether nagkaroon po ng independent party provided by ERC to conduct the system audit.
The ERC is conducting audit now on several fronts, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, since the answer of Attorney Sagayon is not completely responsive to the question, may I direct this question to ERC? Kayo po ba ay nag-engage ng independent party to conduct the system audit?
Not in the 2016 period, Mr.
In other
Chair.
words, Attorney Di Malanta, this ERC resolution number 4, series of 2016, was never realized.
That's what I was asking, Mr. Chair. That was before my time, but I understand it was not carried out either.
And Mr. Chair, to continue, 2017, nag-issue din po si DOE Secretary Alfonso Cusi, Department Circular Number DC 2017-12-0016, the title of which, Adopting the Guidelines for the Performance Assessment and Audit of All Power Generation, Transmission, and Distribution Systems and Facilities. Ito po ba'y natuloy, Attorney Di Malanta?
As far as I know, Mr. Chair, hindi rin po yan natuloy.
Having said all those, bakit po kaya hindi matuloy ang system audit ng NGCP?
Mr. Chair, for the record, the ERC was able to do a system audit in 2020, kailan po ba yan? 2022 po. Yung mga nabanggit po na resolutions, hindi po yun na-implement for various reasons. I think there were some hesitation or reluctance on the part of the auditee.
On the part of
NGCP po.
Do you confirm that hesitation and reluctance on the part of the NGCP?
Oh, which one? That we are reluctant.
Regarding the system audit, why this 2016 and 2017 orders of DOE, ERC were never pushed through?
Mr. Chairman, what we have been saying all along is it is the ERC that has regulatory powers over NGCP. And when it was ERC that ordered the audit of NGCP, we cooperated. Whatever documents that they required, we submitted.
Nonetheless, Mr. Chair, let me wind up on this. Since 2009, there is no system audit conducted which will rule out the apprehension that this system control of NGCP cannot be controlled remotely. Second, DOE Order Number 2010-080015 regarding the System Operation and Metering Service Operations Audit was never realized as well. ERC Resolution Number 4, Series of 2016, concerning system audit was likewise not realized. And in 2017, DOE Secretary Circular Number 0016 was likewise not implemented. Mr. Chair, I'm stating a fact that since 2009, followed by 2010, and then 2016, and then 2017, there was never a system audit. The 2020 system audit that was shared to us by Attorney Di Malanta, per her own admission, did not rule out the apprehension that this system of NGCP cannot be controlled remotely. Mr. Chair, with all due respect to my idol, Attorney Rufus Rodriguez,
Mr. Chairman, can I correct some of my answers? Sorry, with respect to...
Is that okay?
if okay with you.
Yes. Which particular answer do you want to correct?
Mr. Chairman, with respect to a third-party auditor, there was a risk assessment and vulnerability assessment and penetration testing in operational technology infra was conducted by NGCP's third-party auditor, KPMG.
When?
This was in August 2022.
Mr. Chair, the question is about ERC Resolution Number 4, Series of 2016. These representation are manifesting facts which happened in 2010, in 2009, in 2016, and in 2017. And in conclusion, Mr. Chair, all the system audit mandated by various resolutions and circulars were never realized.
Mr. Chairman, I was mentioned as an idol. So may we know on what connection? By my idol also? One of the best performing members of the Quad Committee and also now here? What was it about? Because I also have to answer, the right to reply.
Mr. Chair, earlier, the Honorable Rodriguez manifested that the chairmanship of the board is allowed for foreign nationals. During his interpellation, it was likewise manifested that the chief technical officer was seemingly allowed by DOJ permits and other agencies' documentation. However, Mr. Chair, I am reminded by one important document that we are requesting from the NGCP, and that is the shareholders' agreement. I wish to humbly submit, Mr. Chair, that we will not be able to determine really whether the chairman exercised managerial and executive function and even the chief technical officer until and unless we see the shareholders' agreement. On this light, Mr. Chair, this representation humbly move that we issue subpoena duces tecum to NGCP for them to submit the shareholders' agreement to this committee. So move, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, in addition to the motion, Mr. Chair.
May I just make a clarification? There was a subpoena duces tecum already issued to them in this regard, and their answer is there's another document I saw. Well, anyway, that I remember seeing that
I was present. I confirm that, Mr. Chairman. There was a subpoena issued on the
it
share
said here, sent January 22, signed by Cheryl Saldena de Leon, Corporate Secretary of Synergy Grid Development Philippines. We note that the first item under subpoena duces tecum, the shareholders agreement among SGP, OTHI, and P21 does not exist. Thus, no such document is in SGP's records. Maybe
Mr. Chairman, what we are asking is not the shareholders agreement between SGP and the NGCP. What we are asking is the shareholders agreement between NGCP and the State Grid of China. Yung pong hinihingi natin is State Grid of China.
Okay.
Para malaman po
Okay,
natin.
so there's a motion.
Sa agreement, Mr. Chairman, if I may, para malaman lang po natin kung ano po nakalagay doon kung talagang kinokontrol ng Chinese yung kanila pong maintenance operation.
So is that correct?
That will be agreeable, Mr. Chair.
Yes, so that's the motion.
I recall, Mr. Chair, that both the chairman and the chief technical officer are both stockholders. So I wish to see as well from that document what participation do they have with respect to the management of the NGCP.
Okay, subpoena duces tecum on the motion of the Honorable Jinky Luistro, duly seconded by the Honorable Roger Gutierrez. The chair, no objections. Motion is approved. We now proceed. You still have the floor.
Chairman,
Yes, Honorable Rufus
just like
Rodriguez.
to make some comments regarding the manifestation
Please.
of Congresswoman Luistro. It was stated that the NGCP, there was really no compliance of the order of the ERC and also the DOE for the audit. Is that correct? Congresswoman, yes.
I believe,
Yeah.
Honorable Rodriguez, that I read the title of the
Yes.
circular and the resolutions
Yes.
which I mentioned.
Yes. Yeah. Mr. Chairman, the ERC is the regulatory agency with all the powers to regulate NGCP. It's not a matter of they're not interested to have that implemented or the resistance, because it is the ERC who should have implemented it, whether they like it or not. It is not the fault of NGCP that there was nothing done, because you are the regulator. Is that correct, Ms. De Malanta?
That's correct.
Yeah, you are. So therefore, the fact that they continue is not the fault of NGCP. It is the ERC which has failed to implement it. And she was not yet the head at the time.
Chair De Malanta,
Yeah.
please reply.
Mr. Chair, if I may reply. As recognized by the Honorable Representative, I am not able to explain why it was not implemented in 2016. But when a new performance assessment was organized by the DOE, and then we participated also because of the position of NGCP that only ERC is the one that they recognize. We participated and led the assessment, but still NGCP refused to provide those documents, and we have letters to show Mr. Chair that they refused. So, but we continued with the assessment.
Then you
Mr.
should
Chair.
direct them under pain of contempt and pain of penalty. That is how a regulatory agency would do.
We did, Mr. Chair.
If you're sleeping on the job, they have first a resistance and you will not insist. What kind of a regulatory agency are you? You have to do it.
Yes,
I'm
Mr.
glad that
Chair.
you are now there and you have already started that. And that is not their fault that 2016, 18, 19, 20, there was no systems audit because you did not insist. You have the full powers and yet you waive that power. So just that, Mr. Chairman, to put in the proper perspective, it could have been done. And we wish it will be done during your term. And let them not resist it. Otherwise, you penalize them. That is the power of the ERC. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Much, Attorney Rufus
Mr. Chair,
Rodriguez. The Honorable Jinky,
I wish to wind up.
please.
The apprehensions that we are facing right now about having our national grid possibly controlled by foreign national is right before our eyes. While it is just an apprehension, this is a question that needs to be answered with absolute certainty. With our present situation in the West Philippine Sea, Mr. Chair, I hope the Filipino people are walking with me right now. Exclusive in an economic zone, which is exclusive for Filipino citizens, as confirmed by UNCLOS, as confirmed by the international arbitration. And yet we continue to be harassed, threatened, and even injured by foreign nationals right in our sovereign land. With this situation, will you have the peace of mind na ipagtiwala ang kaisa-isa mong national grid sa kaaway mo sa West Philippine Sea? Will you have the peace of mind that the national grid relies on these Chinese citizens who are maligning, harassing, threatening our fellow Filipinos? Will you have the peace of mind that no Filipinos understand this technology and only Chinese engineers do? Will you have the peace of mind that the technology can be controlled by somebody in Nanjing, leaving all of us helpless? All aspects of Filipinos' lives rely on electricity. Manufacturing, transportation, communication, you name it. What will happen to us if indeed this technology is under Chinese control and they decide to sabotage our country? I can be wrong. We can be wrong. But the question is, what if this apprehension is correct? My point, Mr. Chair, to NGCP, give us the concrete, tangible, apparent, and absolute reason to believe that our transmission grid is under Filipino control and never under the Chinese control. With that, Mr. Chair, I conclude. Maraming salamat po.
The Honorable Jinky Luistro